Okay, so bigwigs in the UFO game have started to chime in and respond to the UAP hearing with Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, Senator Ernst, and of course the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick. We've got bigwigs like Chris Mellon and Gary Nolan, James Fox, and Richard Dolan all talking about the UAP hearing. So let's see what they have to say. Get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like, please subscribe, share on social media, join me on Facebook and Twitter. Links are below, and let me know what you think in the comments below. All right, let's just cut right to it. What does Christopher Mellon have to say about the wonderful testimony by the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick? He says, unlike Dr. Kirkpatrick, I find the testimony of U.S. military personnel in the Nimitz case perfectly credible evidence of aeronautical technology that defies our present understanding. It is not proof of ET, but it is certainly credible and remains unexplained. Indeed, of course, Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, the lovely Sean Kirkpatrick, said that there was no credible proof of ETs or objects that defied the known laws of physics, which of course was a lie. Now, in my critique of Sean Kirkpatrick, I have never criticized him for saying that there was no proof of ETs. And the reason I don't criticize him for that is because I don't know who these beings are. Are they other dimensionals? Are they ultra-terrestrials? Are they, people from the future? Are they beings from other planets within our own reality? I think there's probably a range of beings, and certainly some of them are ETs in the conventional sense. Some of are ETs in a more exotic sense. Exotic terrestrials, a new ET word. So I've never really faulted Sean Kirkpatrick for that. That's clearly a dodge, but what I will fault him for is for openly lying and saying there is no proof these objects defy the known laws of physics. Clearly, when you have objects that can go supersonic speeds without creating a sonic boom, that is defying the known laws of physics. Now we can invent reasons why that might be possible, warping space and time so that they're actually relative to themselves, they're not moving faster than the speed of sound. Potentially that could be a reason, but that's just a potential reason and a rationalization. And clearly relying upon that rationalization, if indeed that's what he was doing, is a dodge. So Sean Kirkpatrick openly, brazenly lied. And he, completely ignored the 5 observables that were inherited from ATIP. Each one of those 5 observables are proof of anomalous activity in objects that are defying the known laws of physics. So, and of course, that doesn't get into all the craziness involved in the phenomenon. But Dr. Gary Nolan replies to Christopher Mellon, and he says, anecdotal evidence by credible witnesses, especially when they describe similar observations, is data. Indeed. So they may very well be referring to some of the whistleblowers that we know have come forward, like Robert Salas and various others. Lou Elizondo apparently has spoken to Arrow at length. So they have all the information, they have enough information to determine that there is anomalous activity that defies the known laws of physics. But, it's not Sean Kirkpatrick's job, his real job to reveal the truth. It is to, in fact, do the opposite. But Gary Nolan goes on to say, some of the most important discoveries in the history of science were not observed under controlled laboratory conditions. They are not what one would call, at the least, preliminary data that set the tableau for hypotheses and replicable testing. So, very good point from Gary Nolan. We should rely upon credible witnesses, right? And data that may not be obtained through in a lab. So, that's what we have to work on in studying the phenomenon, more or less. outside of all the UFO reverse engineering stuff, which does take place in a lab or under controlled conditions. Yeah, and of course, Lou Elizondo has tweeted that he has already spoken to Arrow at length. So that is his response. Let's see, and we have other people responding. Let's see what Richard Dolan has to say. I always value Richard Dolan's commentary.
Evidence that the Pentagon. I do not believe that the Pentagon was happy with all of this new emphasis on UAP starting 2017. I don't see any evidence that the Pentagon was happy. You had a whole year plus where they were smearing Elizondo, trying to take him down, making a lot of unfounded lies about it, actually. And there were places within the Navy that were playing it up a little bit, but I think that could be the result of a real disagreement within that service. I think it's entirely possible, especially with the Navy, because there's just so much going on with the UFO subject there. So I think what we were looking at was the kind of food fight inside the Pentagon. and I think what's happening now is that the big boys are taking control of it again, and they are putting this problem back into the box where they have happily kept it for all this time.
Do you think, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Richard, but it kind of needs to be asked in a direct form. Do you think that Kirkpatrick was doing just that he was taking a direct crack at Elizondo and those efforts by saying directly, there's nothing ET here?
Yes, I do. And I think he took a crack at the UFO research community in general when he said, we don't work, science doesn't work by blog and social media. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a direct dig at genuine UFO researchers.
Indeed, I could not agree more, Richard Dolan. I love Richard, and he always has a good take on things. I don't always agree with him. He seems to be more nuts and bolts than I am. But he's great. He's a super valuable voice to have in the community. And he is dead right that the big boys have stepped in to take charge of the conversation. And that's who Sean Kirkpatrick represents, are the big boys, the control group, whoever they are, whoever is managing this. I would imagine, based on the consistency of what is happening, and it has been happening for 70, 80 years, that this is the control group managing this. I've shown evidence before that Sean Kirkpatrick may indeed be an agent of the control group, or even, a direct member of the control group. He worked with Inman, who, the director of the NSA, who is, admitted on a recording, Admiral Inman, he admitted that he knew of and worked with UFOs and the UFO crash retrievals and reverse engineering technology. And even more than that, it seems like they may have been given some intact craft by the beings, which dovetails with some of the other research that I have shown you. Showing that we have our own craft, our own UFOs that ETs, or whoever they are, the beings, helped us develop. So, when Inman says that, I believe him. There's a lot that he's not going to be able to say. And in fact, he recanted later in life. And he never said that openly. He said that on a phone call to a NASA scientist, and the NASA scientist recorded him. So he never meant that to be public. And when he was asked about it in a public forum, he denied it and said, never happened. So, anyway, so Sean Kirkpatrick worked with him. Does that mean that Sean Kirkpatrick was part of the UFO program? No, of course not. I'm sure a lot of people work with the director of the NSA. But it is telling. It is telling. So and that, paired with the evidence provided by Gary Nolan and Brandon Fugel, that Sean Kirkpatrick is deep in the UFO game, and that Gary Dolan said he's more knowledgeable about this than anybody. Brandon Fugel said Sean Kirkpatrick didn't even need for Brandon to sell him on the reality and the width and breadth of the UFO phenomenon, because he already knew it when Brandon was trying to brief him in others. So Sean Kirkpatrick is an expert on UFOs. He's been in the game for a long time. What are the odds that Sean Kirkpatrick, the lovely Sean Kirkpatrick, who worked with Admiral Inman, who knows more about UFOs than anybody, and who is now the director of AARO, what are the odds that he is not read into the program? I think the odds of that are vanishingly small. But, your mileage may vary. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Let's see. Let's go to. This is actually very moving. And James Fox talking about it on Joe Rogan. That's very touching.
Let's see. You are so good at recall with all this stuff. You can really tell that you've been obsessed with this for so long. It's so fascinating to watch your mind go through these cases and remember all these details with barely even looking at notes. It's all just...
Every time I get up and I do something like this, Joe, I'm representing all the witnesses that have trusted me. I'm representing them. So, when I hear Dr. Kirkpatrick say what he said, it's a personal assault.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, he's just dismissive. When I hear the government dismissive of this whole thing, I'm thinking to myself, I take it personally. Because when I'm out there talking to people like you on these platforms, I'm sorry, it's just tense for me. It's like, I represent these witnesses. When I'm a voice for them. I come out here and I represent them and they trust me. And that means a lot to me. So, sorry,
No, I get it. Listen,
it's
man.
just like...
You're passionate about this. It means something to you, and that's one of the reasons why your documentaries are so good.
I give a shit about the facts.
Listen, man, if you're right and if this is real, this is one of the most important things to talk about. And if it wasn't for documentaries like yours and Jeremy Corbell's and a few of the other ones that are out there, it wouldn't be as big of an issue with people. They wouldn't think that this was real, that there's weight to this. And, like I said, when I heard...
Yeah, so there you go. James Fox getting really emotional and really upset over Sean Kirkpatrick's lies. And I really appreciate that. And, it shows that, because he has been in this for a long time, trying to get some form of disclosure out and to show the evidence of the reality of the phenomenon. And he's been to all these places and he's met all these people. And it really hits him hard when he sees the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick up there lying and continuing the cover-up that has been going on for 70 or 80 years, and if not longer. So, it shows the cost of these lies, and, there are real people that, would like their experiences validated and not ridiculed, as many of these people have been all their lives or since their experiences. So just one more reason why we need disclosure and why we need honesty from AARO. I mean, that's what AARO was designed to do. Lou Elizondo, Chris Mellon, all those guys did not do what they did to galvanize the public and begin a grassroots interest in UFOs that engaged the attention of Congress and forced them into action. And now they're seemingly genuinely interested in the phenomenon, at least some of them. Maybe not Senator Ernst. She was trying to blame it on Russia or China. but I think others are genuinely interested in the phenomenon, even if some of them may have been strong-armed by, the control group or whoever, or promised whatever, who knows, maybe Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was told that she would be told the truth in the closed door hearings, but she wouldn't be allowed to talk about it publicly. That's just a guess, but you could entice people into learning the truth by saying, okay, we'll give you a cookie, but you can't share it with anybody else. So, it's just a thought. I don't know what the behind-scenes stuff is. Maybe Kirsten Gillibrand is playing the long game. Maybe she has some, a strategy in place. I sure hope so. I sure hope that she does emerge as the heroine of ufology that she early on seemed to be. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on. I can't think of a good reason why she didn't ask Sean Kirkpatrick any actual questions during the hearing. I didn't ask him any questions about these whistleblowers that have come forward or push back on him when he said things like these objects don't defy the known laws of physics. So I can't think of any reasons why she didn't ask him that. Even if she's playing the long game, why did she not at least go on record asking him some simple, basic questions, that are in the public purview? Anyway, those are my thoughts, guys. And these are the thoughts of some prominent UFO personalities talking about their reactions to Sean Kirkpatrick's testimony at the UAP hearings. My theory, my thoughts. Now you know their thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I would surely appreciate that. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. I would love to see you guys there, so join me on social media and share this video when it drops there. There's plenty of other videos to check out, so if you are inclined to check those out. And until next time, this is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.